As they looked at you, a single person in the vastness of their power, they made the worst mistake in the history of war. They guessed wrong. They looked at a single spark and thought it wasn't important, but they forgot that the universe began as a single point of light. It's only one person. They scoffed, and with that one cocky cut, they sealed their own doom. They thought they had an insurmountable edge because they were many, had organizations, and told a lot of lies. The thing they didn't get was that you were never just one. You are a divine event that brings together history, spirit, and an unbreakable will. They thought they were fighting a soldier, but they opened fire on a whole world that is housed in a single soul. Get ready, because today we're going to show them their fatal mistake and bring out the army that has always been you. 1. They forgot that aligning a soul is multiplication, not addition. This is the divine calculus. The way they thought about power was based on bad, earthly numbers. They kept track of who had followers and partners, how much money they had, and how much power they had by counting heads and resources. They saw you and wrote 1 in their book, but they didn't understand the divine math that controls the world. As soon as a soul is completely in line with its heavenly purpose, it stops being a unit of addition. It turns into a force that multiplies. Alignment isn't just a choice, it's a resetting of the whole universe. It's when your spirit, your thoughts, your deeds, and even your DNA start to line up with God's will. At that point, your life stops being chance and starts moving with divine accuracy. What this means is that your appearance is no longer just your own. Your voice stops being just words and turns into a frequency, a holy, ringing hum that moves with the basic truth of being. It's also not just frequencies that move. They move through space and time, waking up people to hidden truths, connecting with quiet prayers, and upsetting the false frequencies of deceit. They only attacked one target because they thought that would be enough. They attacked you because they wanted to weaken you and break down your determination until there was nothing left. But each hit caused multiplication to happen. When you looked at your pain through the lens of alignment, it had meaning. Your pain turned into strength. You became more determined because you were alone. You didn't just get back up. You did it with the extra power of every quiet fight you had ever won, every ancestor who prayed for your arrival, and every wrong you were born to fix. There is more than one voice in you. You are like an orchestra led by God. You are the sound of 1,000 years of strength. They counted 1, but now they're facing infinity. You are the universe putting all of its weight behind a single ready body and saying, speak through this one. 2. The Empire of Sand. Their ideas about how to measure power were wrong from the start. They built their kingdom on sand because they thought it was stone. Their measures of power were a bunch of lies, judges in their back pockets, the media spreading their lies, institutions giving them a look of authority, and most people being numb enough to follow along. They called their huge, empty building a win when they saw it. But the number of people who support you has never been a good way to measure real power. The unwavering truth that lives inside you is what gives you real power. They never took passion into account because it was something they couldn't buy or scare people into doing. Religious conviction is like a rock that lies can't break through. It doesn't need praise, a stage, a cheering group, or approval from other people. Conviction is like a fire that never goes out. When every door is locked, every bridge is burned, and every clear way is erased, it turns into a divine current that takes a person forward. It's what pulls you up when all your resources are taken away and tells you to keep moving, when everyone else is screaming stop. This is why their plan would not work. They built their cause from the outside in, using fear, trickery, and bribery to get people to join. Your action, on the other hand, came from the inside out. It was made in the hellish fire of your soul. People tried to drown you in a sea of resistance, but your belief is strong and will rise no matter what. They thought they could shut you up by cutting off your support, but your support comes from a place they can't reach, a source that never runs dry. Their power was weak and needed to be constantly maintained and strengthened. Your power can't be moved and has no weight, but it's stronger than all of their forces put together. At the end, their many lies fell apart against the one truth you told them. A mind filled with divine passion will always be stronger than a million empty sounds. 3. The unseen army. You turn into a living network, not a person. The biggest mistake they made in how they saw you was looking at you with just their eyes. They saw a body, a name, and a life that would end. They saw something small, alone, and, in their minds, easy to put out. They didn't notice the army that is unseen and built into your very being. It was never one of you moving. Instead, it was like a live web, a psychic hub where seen and unseen forces could connect. You are everything and everyone that has ever been poured into you. Every relative who lived so that you could live rises with you. Their strength is written in your DNA. For all the people who believed in you but never spoke out, their dreams are now heard through you. Every lesson you learned in the dark, every lie that taught you how to be smart, and every act of kindness that kept your heart safe are all with you. There are voices inside you, stories inside you, and you are a living memorial to the unknown forces that have directed and protected you. You are not pulling from nothing when you stand in your power. From a deep, old well of stored power, you are pulling. Prayers said over you in secret by people who love you have made a wall around your spirit that can't be broken through. The wrongs you had to go through didn't break you. They made you stronger. This is why they are so scared of being around you. It's not loud or cocky. That's the quiet, heavy weight of someone who knows for sure that they are never, ever walking alone. They made you connect with this inner spiritual network more and more as they tried to keep you away from other people. You turned into a link between what was and what will be, a live link in a chain of God that can't be broken. They thought they were facing a single person, but it turned out to be an army of people waiting for a ship to pass through. You picked up the phone. For one person who tells the truth is worth 10,000 people who lie. They based their whole country on the weak idea that a lie could be passed off as truth if it was told loudly and often enough by enough people. Their whole system was a complex fantasy kept together by fear, trickery, and the unspoken agreement of those who were happy to go along with it. They really thought that the truth was weak and needed a lot of people to agree on it in order to stay alive. But truth isn't something that can be decided on. It's a basic law of the world that stays the same no matter what. There is no need for permission for truth to exist. It is its own proof, its own power, and its own army. When it comes to lies, on the other hand, they need constant, tiring upkeep. They need walls of fear and control that keep getting stronger to support, defend, and protect them. But truth doesn't need protectors. It is what it is. As soon as you decided to live your truth without any compromise, you turned into a living force that they could not defend themselves against. You didn't just question their story, you broke their world. What they didn't get was that truth works through echo. There's no need to yell it from a rooftop. Although it is only spoken by one person, the frequency of the sound moves deep inside people. It's something that people naturally know. In spite of denying it publicly, people feel its hum deep inside, a cognitive conflict that starts to weaken the foundations of their lie. This is why their sheer number always gave the impression that they were strong. 10,000 voices echoing a lie will always break up and be quiet when faced with one voice holding the pure, clear sound of truth. Not only does that one voice speak for itself, but it also wakes up the truth in everyone who hears it. It opens the curtains that they are hiding behind. And once someone sees through a lie, they can never see it again. Their fall wasn't just because of your power. It was also because the lie they stood on was weak. You didn't have to fight or give me a reason. It was just you standing there, and your truth did something that no army could. It shook their kingdom until it fell apart from its own lies. 5. The amplification of silence. They thought your isolation was victory. They were so cocky that they thought your silence meant you gave up. They were happy when they were able to hide you in the dark and keep you from hearing what was going on around them. They thought you didn't have anything more to say, no power to move, and no voice strong enough to matter because of your quiet times. But they had a basic misunderstanding of what quiet means. For those who have been chosen, silence doesn't mean there is no power. It means there is more power. What they meant to be a jail turned out to be your safe place. What they meant to be isolation turned out to be your incubator. Your thoughts became clearer when you were in that holy silence, away from the noise and distractions of the world. It became clearer how you were connected to God. Your beliefs turned from ideas into rules that you can't break. Being alone doesn't kill a true voice, it makes it stronger. It gets rid of everything that isn't needed, leaving only the cleanest, most powerful form of your goal. That clear of a message doesn't need to be loud to move mountains. There is a frequency to it that can't be ignored. Like water building up behind a wall, your strength was building up and waiting for the right time to be released. And when that time came, your voice didn't come back as a hesitant whisper. It came back like a tsunami, bringing the weight of every second you lived through, the power of every secret battle you won, and the sound of a truth that had been cut very thin. It didn't sound like one person when you finally spoke. It sounded like a lot of people. The world heard more than just your words. They heard the scars on your body, the knowledge in your thoughts, and the unmistakable strength of a spirit that had been tried in the fire of silence and come out stronger. Their plan worked out absolutely horribly. They tried to bury you, but they only put you deeper. They made you keep quiet, which made sure that when you spoke again, everyone had to listen. 6. They went to war with a body, but they didn't know they were fighting a spirit. Their strategies were simple, easy to guess, and out of this world. They chased after you like you were just a person. They went after your name, your wealth, your relationships, and your image. Their whole war was meant to destroy the physical parts of your life because they thought that if they could destroy the container, they could destroy what was inside. This was the biggest and saddest mistake they could have made. They thought that what they saw was all that you were. It was always true that you are not a body, and they could never measure, predict, or fight that. As a spirit, you are having a short-term human experience, and tools from this world can't hurt a spirit. They spread lies about your name because they thought it would stop you from speaking out, but your spirit doesn't need a bad name to tell the truth. They cut off your resources because they thought that a lack of them would stop you from moving. But your spirit doesn't depend on money. It depends on divine purpose. They tried to take away your names and places because they thought that would make you less powerful, but your spirit has power that no title can give you and no enemy can ever take away. They tried many attacks, but none of them worked because they were aimed at the wrong thing. Swords were being swung at the wind. They weren't really fighting you. It was the Spirit of God working through you, a force that doesn't get weaker when it's pushed, but gets stronger because of it. Your spirit doesn't die when you're hit. It spreads. As people watch, it seeps into their hearts. It finds holes in systems that people thought were solid. It stays in places for a long time after your body has left. You can feel their anger and confusion. They keep asking, why won't this person break? Why does this movement keep growing? Why does this voice keep coming back? The answer is easy, but scary to them. They are fighting something that will last forever. You are a spirit that speaks things that can't be hidden, has strength that can't be bought, and a fire that never goes out. They already lost the war because you are living proof that the spirit always lives longer than the body. 7. The echo effect. They guessed wrong about how strong your survival would be. They thought that life was a private matter, just a matter of staying alive. They believed that if they could hurt you, shame you, and leave you for dead, your story would stop. They had no idea what the echo meant at all. They did not understand that life is not a whisper, especially when there is unfair and overwhelming resistance. It sounds like a boom. It doesn't stay inside the survivor. It sends shockwaves out into the world and awakens, inspires, and empowers people you'll never meet. For someone else in the dark, every scar you have is a sign of hope. What was broken can be fixed and made better. Every wound that has healed has become a voice. You gave people confidence every time you got back up after being down, even when they had every reason to stay down. They were watching quietly, hoping for a sign that they could also keep going. That's why they are scared of you just being there. You can now shout from your scars. Your story has turned into a tool that can't be broken. They thought that going after you as a person would kill your power, but it had the opposite effect. They planted you when they tried to bury you. And now the seeds of your survival are growing in a huge number of other lives, each one bringing a piece of your strength, story, and toughness forward. When a wound is healed in secret, It's a private win. But when that story is told, it opens jail doors for thousands of other people who thought they were suffering alone. You didn't just stay alive because you wanted to. Your life became proof that they failed. And their loss has a sound that they will never be able to stop. They thought your pain would kill you, but it only made you stronger. They thought your scars would make you look bad, but they made you look great. If this truth hits you deep down and makes you feel like a fire is being lit inside you, then you have found your tribe. There are armies here, so this is more than just a channel. This is your house. Right now, subscribe to God Connection and hit the bell to get alerts. You can't miss the divine knowledge and spiritual armor we give you. This is how you connect to the source. Also, the faithful are behind this goal to raise the powerful. If this word has lifted your heart and you feel called to help with this work, please consider giving $10 through this super thanks button below this video. Your gift is more than just a payment. It's an investment in spreading truth and giving souls around the world the power to rise up. We are grateful for your help with this holy mission. 8. Getting rid of permission. You broke through their system of control. Their strength came from a single, weak belief that you needed them. They made a world with guards because they thought everyone was waiting outside the gate to get in. People thought that you, like everyone else, were waiting for a stage, a platform, or an offer to be backed up. Their media, organizations, and structures were all based on the idea that they were in charge and that you needed their permission to be heard, to be important, or to exist in any way that mattered. But you did something that shattered their whole world. You stopped asking. You did more than just ask for their approval. You turned into your own speaker, stage, and green light. It wasn't because a door opened for you that you finally got up. It was because you either slammed the door shut or decided you didn't need it after all. This was the change they didn't see coming and couldn't stop. The truth doesn't need to be aired from a stage that is approved by the government. Standing in it is itself a show. People who still think the Guardian has power over them are the only ones who can be censored, manipulated, or blocked. Their most powerful weapons stopped working as soon as you understood their opinion of you didn't decide your worth. They don't understand how free you are to move now that you're not playing their game. The authority you talk with doesn't come from a title or a job. It comes from your deepest convictions. That kind of power can't be silenced, controlled, or taken away. Their hold was shown to be weak by your rise. Once you decide not to wait for their approval any longer, they have no control over you. Each step you take says something. Everything you do to stay alive is a message. You are a living, talking movement, and the fact that you spoke without them there to hear it shook them to their core. 9. They only saw one fighter, but they missed the wars you already won. When they saw you, they thought of you as a single fighter who had never been tried. In their thoughts, you were someone who was easy to corner, overwhelmed, and mentally damaged. The people who were talking about you didn't realize that you weren't going into your first fight. You were coming out of a lifetime of them. It was like they missed the battlefield you carried inside you. Every unfair thing that happened to you was a lesson. Every loss you went through taught you how to be spiritually strong. When someone betrayed you, it should have broken you, but instead it made you smarter and more careful. Those things didn't just happen to you. They became a part of you. They turned into your weapons. When you faced your enemies from the outside, you didn't have nothing to offer them. You stood there with the weight, knowledge, and weapons of 1,000 fights you had already fought and won in your mind and heart. You had already been through wars much worse than what they could imagine. You had been through nights of such deep sadness that they would have broken a weaker person, and you did it all without any praise or attention. You had dealt with internal fears and betrayals that were much worse than any criticism from the public. You were stronger after those unseen fights than they could ever measure. When they finally did come after you, they weren't fighting someone new. Years of quiet wars had already made the master fighter, and their strikes only woke him up. That's not all you did when you fought back. You used all the strength you had gained by beating other things. They never had a chance against them. You are not just one fighter. You are the embodiment of many wins that were never recognized. You are live proof that the only way to train fierce warriors is in quiet. 10. They didn't notice that resilience repeats itself in the holy wildfire. Their deadly mistake in planning was thinking that your strength was limited by your body and how long you have left to live. They believed that if they could just wear you down, use up all of your resources, and keep you alone for long enough, your strength would fade away. They didn't see that resolve that comes from God is not a light. It's a wildfire. It spreads, not just burns. It copies itself. It quietly lights a fire in the hearts of everyone who sees it, even if they are far away. You are not just putting up with it for yourself. People who were watching and waiting for proof that life was possible saw your act of resilience as a spark, a green light. When people who had been afraid saw you stand, they found a way to speak out. People who were about to give up saw you get back up and find the strength to go another day. It's no longer just your story. It turned into a flag and a cause. It wasn't just you and them anymore in the fight. Once your resolve spread, they were in the middle of a fire they could never put out. What they were trying to keep inside got out of control. Many people's lives were changed by your story, which spread your spirit. Silent observers became quiet fighters, and quiet warriors became a roaring chorus they could no longer ignore. What's even stranger is that they were the ones who stoked the fires. Being attacked over and over again by them made your strength burn hotter and spread faster. Every time someone tried to bury you, more sparks were set off. There is no force, tool, or plan on earth that can put out a spirit fire that has turned into fierce resolve. People thought your strength would end with you, but it's now all around them. They put out one flame, and now your light is setting the world on fire. 11. The real inheritance. They thought that institutions, not people, built legacies. They went to the institution's altar to pray. They thought that heritage was something that was given by groups, passed down through established channels, or written on building plaques. It was thought that only people with important jobs, titles, and the support of large groups could make history. But that's never how real influence has been built, the kind that changes people's minds and the paths they take. It has always been made by just one person who refuses to be wiped in the fire of their own will. As they took care of their weak thrones and polished their empty trophies, you were gently changing history with the decisions you made. When it was easier to bend the truth, when it was easier to stay true, when you chose integrity over chance, and when you moved in line with your soul's purpose, you were building a legacy that they couldn't see or control. You leave a true memory by what you do, not what you say. In times of deep bravery that can never be kept within the walls of an institution, it is made. Legacy is not something that is passed down. It is something that is made from the raw materials of your heart. You didn't wait for approval. You did not ask them to let you. Each fight you won added a new part to your story. Unlike the weak power of institutions, this story can't be changed or erased. It's not about votes or praise that will determine your reputation. It's about how hard you worked, how honest you were, and how brave you were. People thought they were writing the official history, but your life is the real history that people will remember long after their organizations are gone. Legacy isn't what other people give you. It's the truth that you won't let die. 12. The sacred fertilizer. They thought opposition was victory. They were happy about every problem they put in your way. Every time they fought against you, spread lies about you, or shut your door in your face, they gave each other a high five. In their minds, fighting back meant you were going to lose. They really thought that their attacks were making you weaker. They were completely wrong. They didn't see that each task they put in front of you wasn't a stop sign, but rather food for your soul. Each attack didn't make you weaker. Instead, it made you stronger. It strengthened your spirit, made you stronger, and made you more resilient in ways that ease and comfort could never do. Resistance doesn't just check your strength, it builds it up. Each wall they put up was a weight you had to lift, which made your mental muscle stronger. You didn't just deal with their problems, you took them on. You learned from them. You changed their bad energy into force for moving forward. The irony is terrible in how well it works. They thought they were winning, but they were really the ones who helped you get where you are now. They were the ones who helped you grow. The huge amount of pressure they put on you didn't break you. It brought out the gem of unwavering resolve that was inside you. They were always doomed to fail because of this. They thought their strikes would win, But what they were really doing was slowly building up a force that was much stronger than they could ever control. Every problem made you stronger. Every task made you stronger. And every attempt to stop you made sure that when you did move, it would be like a rock pushing against the wind. 13. The all-pervasive ghost. They wanted you to go away, but you showed up everywhere. Their main goal was to erase you. They wanted you to go away. They pushed you into the shadows, shut down your platforms, and worked hard to erase your memory from the public's mind because they thought that if they could get rid of the source, they could get rid of the threat. What they didn't understand is a basic rule of the spirit. What is forcefully suppressed doesn't go away. It becomes everywhere. Every time someone tried to erase you, you became stronger. As people talked about you in groups they couldn't keep an eye on, your name became a sign of defiance. Your story, quietly told from one aroused soul to another, turned into a tale in our time. They were making what they thought they were destroying last forever. Your essence, your strength, your honesty, and your unshakable spirit emerged from the limits of your body and became an idea, a principle, or a ghost in their machine that they could never get rid of. By trying to get rid of you, they accidentally started the movement that made sure your memory would live on. Someone who had never heard of you asked why your name was being hidden. They tried to make a hole around you, but it turned into a space that drew people in. The irony is so great. The things they did to get rid of you became part of your story forever and are lasting proof of how strong you are. They didn't want to get rid of a single person, but they created a heritage, a name, and a force that can't be ignored. They made sure that people would always remember you in their desperate attempt to kill you. 14. The divine mandate. You show that God doesn't need a majority. They think that power is a democracy, which is not true. They think that in order to have power, people must agree with you and support you. Their whole view of the world is based on the sand of numbers. However, gods don't run elections. The universe doesn't keep track of votes. God doesn't wait for permission from most people before blessing a vessel. You are that vessel. When you rose, you weren't acting out of ego or self-interest. You were bringing a spiritual order from a force that is much bigger and older than any human system could ever understand. This is why your rise didn't make sense to them at all. The world doesn't measure impact by how many people follow you. It measures alignment. And the way you lined up set off an unstoppable power that turned one person into an army. One soul that is connected can inspire thousands of people and break down systems that seemed impossible to break. You are the live opposite of everything they thought they knew. They judged you by human standards, and the world showed them how powerful a divine one is. One brave act from you woke up a power that no army, government, or majority could ever match. When they brushed it off and said, "It's just one," the world didn't think twice. It replied with thunder. It replied with a legion. It replied with you. You were never just one. Every hard time, every tear, and every quiet win was a process that turned you into the strong person you are now. Your ability to stay alive became a witness, and your scars turned into megaphones. Your quiet made the sound stronger. You showed that alignment is and always will be more important than numbers. One aligned soul was enough. You show that strength can be shared, that truth is stronger than lies, and that leaving a legacy is something that is made, not given. When one person is fully committed to their cause, they don't just rise. They change the rules, they change the arena, and they start a movement that no force on earth can stop. Take that power and stand in it. Take that truth to heart. You're not by yourself. You are an army. This word may have touched you and sparked a fire in your heart. Do not let that fire go out. Now is your chance to meet. Sign up for God Connection right now to make sure you never miss a message of truth that will equip and inspire you for your divine purpose. By clicking like, you show that you are strong and join the growing group of people who feel the same way. Your voice is important. Share your story or experience in the space below. Someone else's words might give them the spark they need to rise from the ashes. Send this movie to anyone who needs to be told that one person who is in line with God is like an army that can't be stopped. Follow the trend. Let's get up together. Have a great day.